Do you have a quorum?
Benji, we're still missing Wit.
Can you guys hear me? Julie is giving Whit a call, but he did verify that he was going to be at this meeting yesterday, so we'll see.
Okay.
I see a message from Wit that he is here on the chat.
Yeah, I just seen his hand. I put him over as a panelist. Sorry about that.
Okay.
There he is.
Real live.
Is my microphone okay?
I hear you.
Okay, clear? No problem.
Yes.
Okay. Are we ready?
Sean, are you ready? You're running live right now?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're live on YouTube with a link to YouTube from Facebook.
Cool. All right. Everybody have a good Thanksgiving.
It's good.
Good.
Hey guys,
Hey, Wit.
There's Whit.
I think they figured out Julie. So I never get the emails apparently where there's a link for the panelists, and so I guess she's gonna get me added to that email chain.
Wait, what's your email? I've got whcox@gmail.com.
No, there's a 3 after it.
There you go, and that's it. Okay, I'll make note of that.
All right, so let's go ahead and get this meeting started. Design Review Board, Thursday, December 10, 2020. So has everybody had a chance to review both minutes of the November 12 and November 20 special meeting?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. Is there a motion to approve both of those meeting minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, minutes approved. All right, old business is the Harris Teeter Grocery and Convenience Store. Applicant Ryan Lee, Andrews Engineering. Jeremy, if you want to go ahead and
Sure.
talk about their project.
Absolutely. So again, this is the applicant is requesting approval for change to Harris Teeter Building, convenience store building, and gas station canopy after design review board final approval. So the background on this building, the applicant received final approval of the site plan, including the convenience store portion of this project in April of 2016. Final approval for the Harris Teeter and Liner buildings portion of this project in August of 2016. And the applicant received final approval for the landscape and gas station canopy portion of this project in November of 2016. Final approvals for this project have since been extended until 2021 by the administrator, and the applicant submitted changes to the site plan and landscaping plan of this project in November 2020 and was granted preliminary approval. Again, just a locator map. This is the location on Sam's Point Way and Sea Island Parkway. Image looking at the existing site, and of course there's an existing building that will be torn down. Image from the east. And at this time we can turn it over to the applicant for presentation, and staff comments will follow the public comment.
This is Ryan Lyle with Andrews Engineering. Hopefully we've got other panelists called in. There are two architects, one for the grocery, one for the convenience store, and Ted Barnes is the developer representing the entire project. And those three panelists would be best suited to walk through and answer most all of these architectural related comments. Ted?
Yeah, this is Ted Barnes. So I'm coordinating the development for Harris Teeter, and we have on the architectural side from the grocery store, we have Ron Kirkpatrick with Archicons Design Group, and I'll let Ron walk through the grocery store part. We also have Calvin Sherrill and James Hall with Von Brunt and Associates. They're the architectural firm for the convenience store. And if there's any questions that need to relate directly to Harris Teeter, we have two representatives from Harris Teeter's construction department on the screen with us today. So Ron, I'll let you take over and walk us through the grocery store modifications.
Sure. Hi, this is Ron Kirkpatrick. Hope everybody's doing well. If you want, we can just run through the list and just sort of talk through them as we go, if that's okay.
And Ron, if you would like me to advance any slides or go to a particular part, let me know.
Will do, Jeremy. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So across the elevation, the field brick has been revised from Richfield Blend to Old Castle to a red velour by General Shale. The main masonry accent brick has changed from Autumn Blend to Old Castle to Oatmeal velour by General Shale. And other accent bricks are as indicated on the elevations. So now this is just the this is just the DRB narrative. So the comments are different, correctly? Is that correct? Do we have a comments?
The comments will come after any public comment from staff. So you'll give your presentation, there'll be public comment period, and then staff will read comments out, and you'll get a chance to respond to those.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So the changes were made just in the overall design. As you can see, the before and after elevations that we submitted, if you want to pull those up. So they're very consistent. There's not a whole lot of change. It's just basically a change in manufacturers more than anything. We do have a change in the elevation on the front, the upper level, which is one of the comments where we changed the hardy siding on the top to an oatmeal brick on the top. And the reason for the change is in the low country environment, Harris Teeter has asked us to change a material that is fairly consistent with the color pattern as before, but there's a whole lot less maintenance involved with this material over the life cycle of the building. The hardy siding needs repainting every few years. The brick would hold up much better and last longer and look better and more consistent throughout the life cycle of the building. Let's see, other comments that were talked about. We have the 3 blend brick over on the left-hand entry area here. So I think one of the comments was that the contrast was too great. One of the original ideas from the DRB was that we kind of accentuate this corner and activate this corner. We've done so both outside the building with the seating area and inside the building with seating and a bar area on the inside. You can see that on the plan if you want to go to the plan, please, Jeremy. So in that front left corner, we have pavers and everything on the outside. We have basically primarily all seating on the outside and inside on that corner. So it's kind of an indoor outdoor, activated corner. And we feel like the blend that we proposed draws attention to that as you're driving past on Sea Island Parkway, especially as you're sitting at that light where that main intersection is. So we would like to maintain that if at all possible. And one of the other comments from the DRB, we have proposed changing the columns in the front to a stacked stone type material. And I guess the DRB that's on the prohibited materials list. And Harris Teeter's okay with going back to the original material there, which is an Arriscraft type product, which is an oversized kind of brick look that's more of a precast kind of look to it. So no problem with making that change. Another one of the comments was the canopies in the front and the windows in the front have become a little bit more green in color. I think that's just a little bit of a misrepresentation on the color and the rendering. The canopies, we have no problem making them all black. We would like to maintain the storefront systems to a Hartford green color, which is what is consistent in the original elevations. Those are just a darker green. I think that's just a rendering mistake. It needs to be the Hartford green there. We think that is very consistent with the style of the building and it'll fit in well. So are there any other questions or comments that I need to address?
If that's all you have to present, I'm gonna throw it to the public comments. If there's anything.
No, sir, no public comments at this time.
Well, actually, did you want to talk about the convenience store? Was there other stuff that the applicant wanted to talk about?
Yeah, if you don't mind, we'll go ahead and cover the convenience store. So we'll let Cheryl and James Hall jump in and talk about those changes as well.
Okay.
This is Calvin. Cheryl, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I was trying to talk by my phone. That didn't work, so I've switched to computer audio.
Okay.
Jeremy, can you go up to the narrative?
Yes. There we go.
So Harris Teeter's desire was to have the C-store blend more readily with the main store building, and also provide an opportunity for more activity / transparency on the street side of the building. This also reflects a new operational layout for Harris Teeter, which they have found since 2016 it is more effective in how they operate fuel center convenience stores. We can go to the images now. So the proposed elevation is on the top, over top of the previously proposed. This particular view is facing the fuel canopies, but it does illustrate the glass type and the Hartford green over to the left in the finished materials. The red velour, the black, which will be the color for the canopies, and what we call the eyebrow elements up at the top, all matching the main store building. Also, we changed to the stone veneer base. And so in general, whatever the main store is approved for the main store, the C-store would be changed to mimic that material. If you go to the next slide. So the rear elevation is the street side. There was some comment about transparency. If you'll note, kind of to the right middle of the page, storefront, SF1, and spandrel tinted glazing. So the right-hand triple pane storefront and the left-hand double pane storefront are both spandrel glass. All of the storefront windows and door in the middle are transparent. And that's reflective in the evergreen tint glazing that you see at the left there. The new design has canopies on all sides of the building. We received a comment about the projection of the canopy needing to be 5 foot. The smaller canopies on the ends of the building and the right and left flanking windows currently are only about 3.5 feet projection from the face of the building. And that's basically because they're an aesthetic element and not an active canopy. Whereas the long central canopy would project 5 feet from the face of the building and provide shielding from weather elements as customers come into the store on both sides of the building. The other comment related to transparency, the current elevation, and we have looked at defining the vertical limits of the elevation as the ceiling line inside the building, which is essentially the line of the canopy right below the Harris Teeter fuel. Yes. So the building is 67 feet wide and by 9 feet tall. That's an approximate area of 600 square feet. The current active door and windows only represent 150 square feet of clear area, which is about 25%. So based on the current wording of the code, it would not meet the criteria. With that said, Harris Teeter is prepared to extend the flanking windows each side of the door all the way to the ground. And the new square footage would yield approximately 220 square feet, which is about a 36%. So it's under 40, but it's over the 30 minimum listed in the code. And so Harris Teeter would request consideration for that reduction, in that the new building design provides an active storefront on the street, where the previous design did not provide that. In the lower elevation, all of the windows shown there are spandrel windows. There is no transparency. And the door in that elevation is not a public entrance under the old design. So I'm not sure if I've covered everything, Jeremy, from the original comments, but I think I've at least gotten the highlights.
Okay. I think that sounds good. Is there anything you want to talk about on the canopy at this time? The fuel canopy?
The fuel canopy. So what we did is we changed the brick materials to align with the new brick materials for the C-store and the main grocery store. The base was changed to the stack stone, and that would be modified to provide a consistent material throughout the development.
All right, sounds good. Is there anything else from the applicant?
Yeah, there is one item that Harris Teeter wanted me to point out to you.
Okay.
So if you go back up to the rear elevation, or maybe start at the fixture plan. So that's a couple sheets down. Right. At the top of the sheet, you'll see a double door, and then you'll see some shelving units either side of the door. So currently, the sill wall below the window shields about 3/4 of that gondola height. And if we take the storefront down to the slab, then you will be seeing the back of that shelving, which Harris Teeter doesn't feel is very appealing. And ideally would not want to have that visible from the exterior, but if there is no latitude in allowable transparency area, then they are prepared to make the adjustment that I outlined a few minutes ago.
Good. Sounds good. Is that it?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. So is there public comments on the C-store?
No, sir.
All right. Jeremy, staff comments?
Okay. Okay. So for Harris Teeter Building, comment number 1, changes to the Harris Teeter building footprint are minimum and are positive. The loading dock orientation has been changed for better truck maneuverability along Sam's Point Road. A covered patio area has been extended to on the southwest corner of the building, and staff supports these changes. Get to front elevation. Comment number 2. The autumn brown stack stone material selection for the columns of the Harris Teeter building does not comply with section 4.6.3.A.7.D of the Beaufort Code, which lists stone as material that is prohibited in the T5 UC district. And the applicant, as they noted, is to select a material that complies with section 4.6.3.8.3. The proposed multicolor brick, again, the applicant addressed it. Mixture of B1 to B3 is visually distracting, and the color range of the brick is too great. And that comment really came from the previous approval. I know it changed manufacturer, but the variation didn't seem as great, and it might just be that looking at the mix composition might help that not be so stark and distracting. So staff prefers a brick that has less contrast between the dark elements and the light elements. There is a correction to the printed notes. It states that staff recommends bringing back fenestration and top band on left and right elevations. The applicant has already done that with this, where they brought the fenestration back up here on the left, and then, well, not down the right, but on the left elevation. So that is a correction to our comments. And then staff suggests replacing the upper band of brick with panelized cladding as originally submitted. I certainly appreciate and understand the maintenance concern. Staff's feeling was that it just had a better scale, a better rhythm to it than the brick that is shown here. Comment number 3, section 4.6.1.g of the Beaufort Code states that buildings and additional site elements shall not be painted in a color or pattern that expresses corporate identity to the extent that the paint, color, or pattern is not consistent with the design standards of the district. It appears that the color of the storefront, windows, and associated panels have changed to a brighter green from what was originally submitted, and staff has no record of previous materials list to include the paint color. Selection of the project applicant to include this list in future submissions. Of course, the applicants kind of clarified that a little bit, and that what is on the C-store sheet is that Hartford, get that right, Hartford green. That certainly would be appropriate, more appropriate than the bright green, and they clarified that it might be just a rendering issue. Comment number 4, applicant to provide details of brick veneer recessed panels. And those recessed panels kind of exist right here. We really want to know if there's a depression, how big of a depression, and if there is further detail in those panels that we can understand in a future submission. For the convenience store, get to that. Comment number 5. The inclusion of a true pedestrian entrance along Sea Island Parkway is a positive move. That is in compliance with section 2.5.1.d.123 of the Beaufort Code. And 1, buildings shall have their principal pedestrian entrances on a frontage line. 2, all buildings with shared entrances shall be oriented so that the primary entrances face the street. And 3, in the case of corner lots, the primary entrances shall face the street from which the building derives its street address. So staff is in support of the creation of a primary entrance on both the street frontage and the parking lot frontage, and the new design for both elevations creates a stronger sense of entrance at both access points. Comment 6, the revised elevations of the C-store are generally positive. The relationship between the base, field, cornice, and the doors and windows is more pleasing to the eye, and the addition of the canopies on the side facades is positive. As noted in comment 9 below, stone is an inappropriate material choice and cannot be used. Comment 7, applicant to include cut sheets for storefront and future submissions and clarify which units and panes will be spandrel and which will be clear. The applicant's done so verbally, but in a future submission, just make sure it's really clear that all parts of the right and left would be spandrel. Let's see. Comment number 8, in future submissions, the applicant to ensure and demonstrate compliance with section 4.6.3.c.1 of the Beaufort Code. Since this building faces a street, adequate amounts of fenestration must be provided. It appears that less than 40% transparent fenestration has been provided. Of course, the applicant just gave you the percentages and an alternate to consider. Comment number 9, the Autumn Brown stack stone material selection for the base of the C-store and the base of the gas canopy columns do not comply with section 4.6.3.a.7.d of the Beaufort Code, which lists stone as a material that is prohibited in the T5 UC district. So again, applicants select a material that complies with that section. Comment number 10, in future submissions, applicant to add dimensions to the convenience store wall section to show the depth of the proposed extruded aluminum canopy. Applicant to note that canopies must be 5 feet deep and 8 feet above the sidewalk per section 4.4.f of the Beaufort Code. And again, I think just putting the dimension there on that section would help. And it is only meant to be the canopies above entrances. So the side canopies can be at a lesser depth. Applicant, number 11, the applicant has noted that lighting has been application and that it will be included in the site and landscape application for this project. Staff notes that sconces are proposed on the convenience store elevations that are different from those that were previously approved. So in a future submission, applicant to ensure that these sconces are submitted for review. So staff recommendation is preliminary approval with the conditions noted above.
Cool. Thank you, Jeremy. All right. So, let's go back to the front elevation of the grocery store, and we can just start there. Let's see. Does anybody, Kimberly or Whit, you want to put in your thoughts? Do you have any?
So it looks like the over to the right-hand side of the new front elevation, that there's been a pretty significant color change. What was the thinking there? Is that to make that brick look better or match better with that proposed brick, or what?
Are you
I'm asking.
referring to the upper level brick or the lower level brick?
I'm referring to the upper level over to the left where the little green windows are. I mean, right. I apologize.
I'm sorry. Okay. It's an oatmeal colored brick, which is, it's one of the lighter colored bricks that's manufactured out there. That you wouldn't have to paint. So it's the closest thing we could find that was similar to the color of the hardy siding that was on the previous elevation.
So that hardy siding looks like it's sort of like a white or a light gray. There's no brick in that.
It is a lighter color.
It may be just the way it looks on the computer, but it looks kind of materially different to me.
Yeah, it's a fiber cement board siding versus, the brick, which is shown down below.
Right, I understand the difference in material. I'm talking about the color.
Correct. It is definitely a lighter color than the brick that we've chosen.
So Kimberly, you're leaning more towards like a lighter, you think?
Well, yeah, I kind of like the color scheme of the original. And I'm not really a big fan of that multicolor brick that is in fact over on the left. It is. I was just wondering if they made that change to try to make that multicolored brick look like it fit better or something.
So does that multicolored brick is basically a mixture of that oatmeal and red? Is that correct?
It is. It's a mixture of all three bricks. If you look at the color palette on the right-hand side, there's three that are listed over there, and it's a blend of all three.
Is it on that legend? It looks like it has a pattern. Is it going to have a pattern, or is it random?
It's pretty random. It's not a specific pattern, no.
Okay.
Yeah, but you do note that there is a percentage. So you see 20% of B1, 60% of B2, and 20% of the B4.
Okay.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. That might be a typo. It should be 20% of the B3.
Can you go back to it? I'm sorry. It's hard for me to see.
Okay.
It's 20, 60, and 20,
Yeah,
I believe.
yeah,
Okay.
got it. Of this mix here.
That's
What
correct.
do you think about just mixing two of the bricks instead of all three of them? Like, let's say either B2 and B3 or B1 and B3, you know, instead of having all three of them mixed in there. What do you guys think of that?
Well, what's your issue? I mean, are you looking to decrease the amount of the B2 or?
Well, I think the comment was there was too much contrast between all bricks, between the, I guess, the light brick and the dark brick.
Okay,
And if you just pick either the two lightest ones or the two darker ones, you know, that would help reduce that contrast.
I don't necessarily have an issue with that. If I had my choice, I would probably pick the two lighter ones, just to sort of differentiate it from the main field, which is what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah, let's zoom out to the entire elevation. Kind of just want to see that again. Yeah.
So it would kind of, if you look at the main vestibule, I mean, that's the B1 brick. So if we would remove the B1 from the mix, potentially, it would still differentiate and contrast with the vestibule and kind of activate or basically make that corner pop a little bit.
Yeah, I think that would look good. What do you think, Kimberly?
Yeah, I think that would look better.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. At first I had kind of a problem with, you know, how you change it to the brick from the hardy, but I understand your concern about maintenance, so I think I'm okay with that. But you're keeping the hardy on those tower elements, is that correct?
Yeah, the tower elements still have the hardy, and also the drive-through area does as well.
And definitely, we're not a fan of those stones. So let's go back to the original material that you had.
No problem there.
But what was the original again?
It's a kind of an Ariscraft type material,
Okay.
which was approved on the original design.
Okay.
And it's got a precast top on it.
Okay. It looks like it's kind of close to that oatmeal Ballard color. Is that right?
It is.
On those, let's see, what do you call those things? So the recessed brick, is that right?
Yeah, just a little clarification on that. Those panels are recessed about 3/4 of an inch.
Okay.
So it's just enough to create a shadow line on the, and we've basically taken the B3 brick as the inset pattern there. I think the previous version that was approved had the blend of all three colors there. We've removed that, and we've just gone to, well, it's a field brick, which is the B1 across the bottom, and then the inset pattern will be the B3.
All right. Okay. I'm still kind of trying to get used to it because looking at it, they just look like, you know, windows that got patched up. So I'm trying to think of other ways that might help not make it look like that. And one of the things that might be an idea is to just take it all the way down to the ground instead of just having it, you know, look like a window size. If that makes sense. What do you think of?
The intent of the panel is to mimic a window. per se. If you look
Yeah.
over further to the left, over adjacent to the vestibule, we do have a transparent window there,
Yeah.
basically the same size as the recessed panels
Okay.
there. So the intent is to kind of keep that rhythm going across the entire front of the store.
Mhm.
You know, basically with a grocery store, it's really almost impossible to have transparency around the perimeter,
Yeah.
all locations. So we're just trying to break down, you know, we've got a 250-foot wide store here, so we're just trying to break down that facade a little bit.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, and that's it's a good thing. Let's see. Whit, are you still there? Kind of been quiet.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just listening to all y'all.
All right. Are you on board on all these?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the project looks great. I mean, I know reviewing the staff recommendations, there's some items that need to be addressed, and it looks like even though they're going for final approval, that we're going to be just doing preliminary approval.
Yeah, I think we should do that because similar to the site plan, we approved that preliminarily. And are they going to come back separately again, or is it going to be just one review later on?
Yeah, we're not sure about that yet. We wanted to get things worked out, and then there's a couple little details we're working out around the store that are a part of that site submittal.
Mm-hmm.
Really depends on how all that comes together.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the next elevation. We just want to make sure we cover everything. Now,
The rear.
Yeah. Okay. That looks fine. So we lost that. You guys lost that bump out under the Harris Teeter neighborhood and food and pharmacy sign. You don't really need that bump out, or is that there? You just can't see it.
Yeah, we did lose a little bit of the bump out. We do have the overall area bumped out, and we do still have the canopy above. And the faux windows there as well with spandrel.
Yeah, I like that you added that corner on the left side, that kind of tower element. I think that kind of frames the whole building nicely. All right, let's keep going. All right. Okay, let's jump to the C-store. All right, so I think the C-store, you know, just taking out that stone and going back to the original material that you're gonna use on that convenience store, I think is the way to go. And you mentioned making those two side windows larger to get closer, or not those two, but the flanking those two, to get closer to the 40%. Is that those two storefronts that you were talking about, taking all the way down?
Go to the rear elevation.
Come on now.
I thought you said you were going to take the windows that are adjacent to the doors all the way down.
Oh, is that okay?
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
Oh,
And
okay.
Benji, as a point of clarification, to just confirm, it is 40% transparent fenestration that can be reduced to 30%. And I believe the calculation you said was currently at 25%, is that right?
In round figures, yes.
Okay, and to get, so right now it's 25%, and to get it to 30%, how are you proposing to do that?
I can show you a sample if you can share the screen.
Yeah, let me stop share. And now you have the ability to share.
I may not know how to do that. Let's see. There we go. But I do need to point out that behind those windows, you will see, you know, dark elements of the shelving that are on the other side.
And what is going to be on that shelving? Like window wiper solution? What kind of stuff is typically on there as you're looking through the window?
You're going to see the back framework of the shelving. The product is only going to be visible when you're standing inside of the store.
So it's a solid back on the shelving?
I'll have to confirm that, but it's more of like a pegboard sort of material.
Is there a way to put a finish on those, on the back of that shelving? So it looks more finished?
That's something we'd have to investigate with Harris Teeter's equipment vendor and that sort of thing, but we can do that.
Okay.
Or alternatively, to use shelving that doesn't have a back. So you would see attractive product and be able to see through the shelving into the store.
We could evaluate that with Harris Teeter's operational folks, see what they thought about that. So there might be candy display or something like that, which isn't really going to work from both sides. But if it was fuel, oil or
Coke,
some other bottled product, then
you know, soda, water.
yeah.
Okay. Is there a landscape in front of that, in front of those storefronts? It's hard to see. It's hard to know without the site plan.
I think that's yet to be determined with this new location of the building. We did move the building very close to the sidewalk to the build line.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think the landscape design has been revisited since that adjustment was made.
Okay.
But that's a good point. There's certainly
Because if there was landscaping
likely
there,
be some.
yeah, you could keep the windows as it is and just kind of hide that foundation with, or shrubs or something like that. That makes sense.
Yeah, and on this alternate concept, you do show that some kind of stacked stone on the bottom. That would not be at all on the one you're going to build, right?
That material would be the same material as the base of the Harris Teeter.
Okay, is it stacked stone?
No.
Okay, what is it?
As Ron Kirkpatrick indicated a few minutes ago, it's Airtraff, which is more of a precast sort of material.
Okay.
And whichever color or tone is selected for the main store, that would be utilized for this building as well for consistency throughout the site.
So there would definitely be, at the bottom there would be a different material than the rest of the store underneath the windows.
That's the current concept, unless for some reason the staff felt that was a detrimental part of the design. I would openly say that Harris Teeter's preference is not to take the windows all the way to the ground. They feel like that the shelving and so forth on the interior really is not going to liven up the facade, but be a distraction.
All right. Yeah, I think if it's trying to remember what that site plan looked like, and I know it's probably going to change. If you do have, like I said, some kind of elements right outside that window, some landscaping, then I think I'd be more on board on that original design with the less percentage.
We would certainly be willing to landscape that base in front of a brick knee wall, which would soften that front.
Yeah.
And bring you into the building.
Yeah. All right. Okay, let's see, what else is there? The canopy, I think it's pretty straightforward. It looks fine minus the stack stone. You could change that to the original, that would be good. Let's see. I think that's it.
Benji, this is Ted. I do believe that there's room for a landscaping element on that street front elevation. Ryan Lyle can weigh in if I've misspoke here, but there should be enough room to provide that.
Okay. I mean, it definitely looks better than what it was originally. So, we're going the right, you guys are going the right direction, and it's real, storefront see-through glass and not spandrel. So that's good.
We definitely could do the landscaping if you'd be willing to consider keeping the solid part of the elevation as it is.
Are you okay with that, Kimberly and Whit? Is that something?
I honestly like the bigger windows better.
Oh, okay.
But you can certainly put some landscaping in front of those as well.
And we probably will do that.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else? Jeremy, did I cover, is there any big items on that staff that we need to go through? Just looking real quick. I think that's it.
That's it.
Could I have a follow-up on landscaping?
Yeah, go ahead.
What would be, we're just really concerned about the public seeing the back shelves through the window. And will the landscaping distract your view enough? I guess that I'm not familiar with the landscaping that would be utilized down in that region.
I think that's kind of like on the south side of the lot. So, I mean, you could put some native grass, and I think that would do it, like some muley grass or something like that.
Jeremy, what if they were to put some planters with some, that could be refreshed, kept looking nice in front of those windows? Would that be permissible? And certainly that would be eye-catching enough to distract from any unattractive shelving, I would think.
Yeah, I would prefer to do something that's more perennial, annual, something that stays and we can just irrigate, and it doesn't have to be changed in and out of pots. I'm fearful that time with any corporate entity, they won't do a good job of doing that.
Yeah,
We would share that concern, Ted.
so certainly I think there's two issues here. One, I think landscaping around the base of the building and whatever that is always beneficial. What we have to address is the zoning ordinance, and that the fenestration, transparent fenestration shall not go below 30%. So how do we deal with that? And I get and agree, don't want to extend the fenestration down to just see it blocked from the inside. So, but that was taking us to 36% according to what Calvin shared. So is there a way to keep the sill of the window where it is? Possibly. And I get that you're saying that the ceiling height is kind of at that canopy, but that canopy is lower than the adjoining canopies. So is there a way to potentially push that up? Again, I don't know what your section is through there. I don't know what your roof structure is. If the ceiling height's established for some reason at that level differently maybe than over here. I guess you got spandrel glass over here, but
Yeah.
wait.
We have fleshed out the design enough to know that the 9-foot ceiling can't go up because of ductwork and roof structure depth. So the head of the windows under the sign is 8 foot.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So the ceiling is a foot above that. The bottom of the canopy is at 8.8.
Can you,
And
you
going
say-
left and right, we go into operational areas and structural columns and so forth. So there's a limitation on the width, if you will.
right. But you said you've got 8 feet and 9 feet to the ceiling. Is there the potential to at least gain the 1 foot of height with these windows? That would basically, the windows would flush with your ceiling?
Maybe. We'd have to
Maybe.
investigate that.
Stretch just a little bit, and maybe if I don't know, just try.
We might be able to stretch it up a little bit and maybe stretch it a little bit left and right and hit on that 30% number. But
Yeah.
I think it would be marginal.
So I think we need to get to that 30%. So let's see if you guys can do that and come back to us next time with a solution.
And maybe cheat down on the sill as well, but not go onto the floor.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And so just so I understand, you're saying that the ceiling on the C-store is lower underneath like the Harris Teeter fuel sign than it is on the left and right work areas?
Yes, those are spandrel glass panels. There's operational space in behind and/or a cooler on the other side.
And so what I'm going to call like a transom window above this spandrel, you just can't replicate that and raise that
No,
sign.
there's nothing live inside to. I mean, we might be able to make the top pane transparent to meet the letter of the percentage.
Calvin, I think he's asking if we can raise the middle windows up with a transom to match the
Correct.
flanking windows. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
That's where the 9-foot ceiling height comes into play. I think we have some limitations in that regard.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And with it's transparent is what we're trying to achieve, not more spandrel.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha.
We do feel, and we appreciate you that you recognize the fact that we have created a live entrance on both sides of the building, which we didn't previously have. And I guess we were hoping that there might be some way to see if there was a workaround on the 30% number.
So just so I'm clear, on the center windows on either side of the door, is the top of the window as shown at 9 feet?
top of the window is at 8 feet.
Not those, I'm talking about the middle windows. So the top of the window is at 8 feet. So
Correct.
you could move it up a foot and be flush with the ceiling, but that would require you to move up the sign and move up the canopy. Right?
We might not have to move up the sign and the canopy, but the aesthetics might be better to maintain that brick band between the top of the window and the bottom of the canopy, which is really why it's positioned the way that it is right now.
So what is the dimension of from the canopy to the eyebrow?
Well, the top of parapet is about 18 feet. And the flanking shorter parapets, I think they're about a little under 15 feet. So proportionally, the eyebrow is 16 and a half, 17 feet, something like that.
So if the sign and the canopy were to move up a foot, do you think that would ruin the aesthetic?
I don't think so.
It's certainly something we can look at. We just we wouldn't want to definitively say, sure, we can do that without some further study.
I think it'd be great if you would look at that, because that might solve the problem and still look pretty great.
We're willing to do that.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you for your consideration. We'll try to hit on that 30% and maybe maintain some bottom wall area that's currently shown.
Okay, just don't go back to the original design.
Well, we would prefer not as well.
Yeah.
Why we think this is helps us.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right, if there's nothing else, does anybody want to make a motion on this?
And before you make a motion, since we talked about a lot of different things, please be specific.
Yeah. I always have to make it harder. Hey, I know Kimberly's got it down.
Can we deal with them separately? Like make a motion regarding the convenience store and a motion with the grocery store?
That's fine with me. Is that okay, Jeremy?
Yes.
Okay, so as to the convenience store, I move that we recommend preliminary approval subject to staff recommendations, and specifically for the applicant to consider some alterations that would achieve the 30% transparency requirement, possibly by enlarging the windows that are adjacent to the entry door.
Great. And do you want to add, did you put the dry stack stone veneer to change to the original finish?
Yes, to have the veneer match the grocery store, but not be the stone veneer.
Dry stack specifically.
Right. All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 All right.
Was that motion meant to include the canopy, gas canopy as well?
I would say so. Kimberly, would you say that includes the gas?
Yeah, because the main issue there was the stone issue as well, correct?
Yeah. That's correct. Okay, the convenience store, does any, or not the convenience store, the grocery store, does anybody want to make some motion on that one?
Okay, I'll make a motion on the grocery store to, for preliminary approval, subject to staff recommendations, and specifically to, as to the pattern brick, to use just 2 colors of brick, the lighter shades in the renderings, and to eliminate the stone columns, return to the original material. And I think, was that it, as far as our comments?
I'm looking, I think that's it.
Make sure
yes.
that the windows are all Hartford green.
What about the upper brick and the hardy panel? That was a topic of discussion.
I think that if we do the 2 lighter brick colors for the pattern brick area, the brick that's shown on the rendering would probably be okay. That's my opinion.
All right, I will second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And then
All right, good. Okay, thank you very much, Harris Teeter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to meet with you this afternoon.
Thank
All right,
you.
Thanks, guys. All right, on to the next one. Let me see here.
Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you.
Hey, good afternoon. This is Andrew Cronin.
Okay, are you representing Wendy's?
Well, there's several of us. I just want to make sure that my computer was working. Y'all could hear me, so good to know.
Okay. All right, so new business. Hold on, where is my notes? Okay, new business, Wendy's fast food restaurant, applicant Andrew Cronin, Tidewater Development Group. All right, Jeremy, take it away.
Okay. All right, so this again is Andrew Cronin, Tidewater Development Group, and the applicant is requesting preliminary approval for new construction of a 2,500 square foot Wendy's restaurant with a drive-through window. The proposed improvements to the site will include a fast food restaurant, patios, parking areas, landscaping, and associated infrastructure for future uses. Background on the project: the new construction Wendy's fast food restaurant will replace the existing business on the subject properties, and those are Discount Auto Center and Mother Earth Landscaping. On November the 10th, 2020, at the request of the applicant and property owner, the subject properties were annexed into the city of Beaufort and designated as T5 Urban Corridor District, so T5 UC. On November 23rd, 2020, the Zoning Board of Appeals granted the applicant's request for a variance to the Beaufort Code Section 5.7.4.C.1, maximum number of parking spaces, to allow for 22 parking spaces on the site. So here's the location, Boundary Street, to the west of Beaufort. And here's some site pictures of the kind of the existing building. Other existing pictures. And some kind of the context and around the site. And this time we can turn it over to the applicant for a presentation.
All right, well, good afternoon. My name is Andrew Cronin. I am the applicant with Tidewater Development. Just want to say thank you guys for the opportunity to meet with you guys. Again, you guys may recall that we met back in early March. This was the week COVID exploded. It was probably the last meeting that y'all had in person. It was certainly one of the last meetings I had. But it was all new. We were all kind of chatting about it before the meeting. And at that time, we were presenting for final approval. We received final approval at that meeting for the Wendy's on Ladies Island. So we're back with a similar request. It is the same tenant. It is virtually the exact same building that we previously looked at and was approved. And it's a similar site or site plan with respect to the placement of the building, with the drive-through being on the rear, or excuse me, on the inside or on the back of the property. So it's a similar site plan. And we're here today seeking preliminary approval. We'd like to get your guys' comments and thoughts to the package with the intent on revising and resubmitting next week with the intent on coming before you for final approval in January. So along with me is, I saw David Ayers, he's with Wendy's, and then our engineer Greg Bache and Kelly Coffey are supposed to be on the call. So you've got myself, Wendy's, our architect, and our civil engineer for questions or thoughts on the package. So thank you all.
All right. Was there somebody else that was going to present?
Kelly and Greg are supposed to be on.
I'm here.
Okay.
Is Greg on as well?
I am. Good afternoon.
Okay. Well, we've spent the better part of the last, I'll say, 4 months working alongside with Heather Spade and Dave Bouchard and Dan Frazier. We had, just so you know the backstory on this project, we had to go through an annexation. This was a county property that we annexed into the city. That's complete. We went through 4 hearings or public meetings. And then after the property was annexed into the city, we also went through a parking variance and we received approval on the parking variance. So coming before you to present the aesthetics of the project, which are very much in line with the Ladies Island deal. So that's the backstory. That's where we've been working on the last 3 or 4 months. Dan and Heather and David have been awesome to work with, and we've massaged this plan no short of 40 times. So hopefully it's close.
All right. Thank you. Let's see. Do we have any public comments?
No, sir.
All right. Staff comments?
Okay. The staff comments, comment number 1, per section 3.2, table of permitted uses, retail and restaurants, land use is permitted in the T5 UC district, subject to the conditions of section 3.6.2.d. The proposed development meets these conditions. Comment number 2, per section 3.2, table of permitted uses, the proposed drive-through facility land use is permitted in the T5 UC district, subject to the conditions of section 3.7.2.b. So the proposed development meets these conditions. Comment number 3, the design review board is not responsible for the review and approval of signage. However, monument signs require landscaping, not including grass. Landscaping shall equal the total surface area of the sign face per section 6.5.1.a of the Beaufort Code. Any signage landscaping associated with proposed freestanding signs shall be shown on the landscaping plan submitted as part of a design review board application for final approval. Comment number 4, staff notes that the project will result in a decrease in impervious surface area from the existing 45,153 square feet to the proposed 27,922 square feet. Comment number 5, you jump ahead in the pictures. Section 4.6.1.g of the Beaufort Code notes that buildings and additional site elements, including bollards, arbors, drive-through canopies, signposts, shall not be painted in a color or pattern that expresses corporate identity to the extent that the paint color or pattern is not consistent with the design standards of the district. Fluorescent colors such as AASHTO safety yellow are also prohibited except where required by a public agency. So applicants proposed a Wendy's red EFS sign structure as well as yellow bollards. The applicant to revise these color selections to comply with section 4.6.1.g of the Beaufort Code. Go with forward 1. Comment number 6, applicant has demonstrated compliance with section 4.6.3.c.1 of the Beaufort Code and that greater than 40% of transparent fenestration has been provided along the elevation facing Boundary Street. Comment number 7, applicant to identify scupper boxes and downspouts on drawings and note proposed material. Comment number 8, Jump ahead. Applicant to clarify material of the canopy columns. And then comment number 9, in future submissions, applicant to submit cut sheets for lighting, storefront, doors, window, canopy materials, EIFS, etc., as required by the DRB application checklist. So staff's recommendation is preliminary approval with the conditions noted.
All right, thank you, Jeremy. Let's see. Do you guys have a landscape plan, or are you guys going to submit that next time?
We'll submit it next time. Michael Brock is going to be working on it.
Okay.
We'll have that completed and submitted next week.
Cool. So I think the big thing on the staff comments that we're probably going to discuss is the red, that sign structure. Do you guys have anything to say on that? Did the other Wendy's have that? I think it did, right?
Yes, it did have that.
It's Wendy's corporate red color. That's their standard red EIFS color. There is a patio in front of that sign, so it's not as stark as that one. I think there's another rendering showing a patio in front of that. That red color is kind of, I think that we actually sent a sample of that color of red EIFS sample. David, are you on here?
I'm on, can you hear me?
David, did we send a sample of the red EIFS color?
Yes, that went to the engineer.
Okay.
I have that, and that will be submitted at final. I just received it about a week ago. It was after we had submitted this preliminary package.
I think we had that sample at our actual face-to-face meeting in March, and those colors were approved then, so we didn't see that red was an issue. It's kind of got more of a burgundy tint to it versus that stark red color, but it is the standard Wendy's red color.
Yeah, that red you see there is a little bright. The one we're using is a little deeper red, but the samples that we sent to the engineer will show those. But we are open to suggestions because we have, dealt with, having to change the color of that blade before. So we can talk about it.
So could you guys go to a more earth tone red? Is that something that you would consider?
We can look and see what our corporate advisors will let us use. We're open to it as far as the earth tone kind of red.
I don't know if you can see.
Or possibly a gray. Would a gray do any justice to it? That probably wouldn't look very good with the aesthetics of the building.
Oh, you have the red up there.
Yeah, that's the actual material sample we'll turn in with final on what that red is. It is a little more maroon. I doubt the lighting is great in here,
but if we needed to deal with that, we certainly can. It will.
Okay. So the city has a sample of that? Is that what you guys said? The city has a sample of that red color?
The engineer received it. Greg?
Yeah, I don't know if the city still has it from the Ladies Island store that was approved, but we will turn in this full material package with the final submittal that has the actual sample of the red.
I also think that rendering might have been of a ACM metal material, so it does show a little brighter.
Yeah, it's more like reflective. And what you're proposing is more matte.
Yes, correct.
I think when you see it, you'll see that there's more of an earth tone to that one, and it's a satin matte type finish on the ephes.
All right. Let's see. Where'd my board go? Kimberly, you're still there? Oh,
Yep.
Here she is. Okay, cool.
We can always, we're proposing to change the bollard color to a bronze color versus the yellow color, the safety yellow.
Yeah, I think that'll look good.
Bronze will be fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So what material were you guys thinking for the canopy columns? You still deciding on that?
Those are, they're on the patio plan, and those are steel and they're painted.
Okay.
I think if you look at that drawing, there's still columns, and I think they're painted a tan color, the PX 12, I think. You have to go down. That's
Yes.
Can you guys provide a sample of that too?
the color.
I'm looking at my spec sheet now. I'm looking. Normally we use bronze on those canopies, but in this case, I'm looking to see what we're using.
You're talking about like a dark bronze?
Yes.
I think it's actually a light tan, I think.
Canopy.
If you go back to that rendering, I think it's supposed to kind of match the wood color that's on the knotwood. You see the rendering.
That's the other side of the building.
There you go. I think
So
they're
would
that light tan color that kind of matches the knotwood, I think.
Yeah. So you think you'd do the bollards that same color?
I think they would be more of a bronze
more
color.
of a dark bronze?
Yes.
Yeah.
I apologize. When you said canopies, I thought we were talking about the driveway.
Oh, sorry. No,
Not the patio.
not the patio. The porch columns. Yeah. So all that's metal,
Those are steel columns.
steel columns, and steel
and what are the
lattice.
What was the question? I couldn't hear you.
Those battens, the horizontal battens, what is that material?
It's a composite material with a wood grain finish
Yeah.
built into the composite material.
Or, well, if you guys could provide a sample for that color, that would be awesome. Next on the next submittal. Let's see, what else? Kimberly and Whit, do you guys have anything?
Where was the yellow that Jeremy referred to that apparently we changed?
These were just bollards at the drive-through. You can hardly even see them.
The safety bollards to keep the cars from hitting the building. You can see
Okay.
them barely there in the left side of the drawing.
And you're gonna make those bronze, you said?
Correct. They'll be
Okay.
dark.
Yeah.
And your lighting, that's gonna be on the final approval?
Yes, the photometrics, the building lighting.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the monument sign, where is that located? Is that there's no other sign other than that? Like by closer to the street or anything?
Yeah, our side faces the street. So the side that you see there will be facing the street on the boundary.
Okay, and there's no other sign?
We will be adding 2 monument signs, one on each street frontage. They're both fairly small, I think 10 square feet and 5 square feet. We're going to sign study now. We'll indicate those on the revised final plan along with the required landscaping that goes around those signs. So we're going to place those on there this week after you guys, if we're good with this current plan. And then we'll submit the final plan with landscaping and all for final approval. But they'll be street frontage.
But if you want to know where we're looking at putting them, you see the driveway there on the right side fronting on Neal Street.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at putting one of them just east of that driveway, which will be on the lower side of the drawing. We go somewhere in that area. And the other one will go up on the street front between the building and Boundary Street, possibly up toward the corner.
Okay. And there's enough room there for the required landscaping?
Well, that's something we've got to put it together and make sure it's going to, fit right, look right, and work. So that's still in process.
Okay.
All right. Could you guys put curb cuts on those curbs on the sidewalk?
Yeah, we will at final. Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
And any utilities you guys have that
There's existing water services to the buildings there's 3 buildings on the property currently that have water service. We'll be abandoning 2 of those services and keeping one of them. And then there's an existing manhole on Neal Road, which is right on the south corner. Right where you're not far from where your little hand is there, and we'll likely be coming up from that. Or we can bore a service under Boundary Street to the gravity straight across from Boundary Street. We're looking at both those options and do the one that makes the most economical and feasibility sense with any existing conflicts with underground storm and utilities that may exist in those right of ways.
I guess that main thing that I just wanted to point out is those the electric meter kind of behind the freezer cooler. If you could just think about trying to screen that. I think I had that same comment on that other Wendy's on that here in Ladies Island.
So you may want some landscaping in front of that. Electric.
Yeah.
And if you look at the elevation on A2.1, you can see where he's addressing on the rear elevation.
This is the last page? Okay.
I think he's talking right there.
Yeah, exactly those. And I think that's it for me. Let me see. Was there anything else that we need to talk about? I appreciate you guys decreasing the impervious surface. That's good. Whit, you still there? I don't see him. Whit, are you there? Did we lose Whit?
If Julie is on, could you call Whit and see if he's still, if something happened? Maybe get him back on? Because without him, we don't have a quorum.
Okay, hold on. Julie got a message from Whit. He got bumped off and he tried to get back on and he's having problems with the audio. We might, maybe I can ask Julie to give him a call and then we can get his vote over the phone if that would work.
That'd be fine.
Great. Let me see.
Yeah, I'm not sure when he got kicked off. He's been kind of.
He just joined. I put him over.
I'm gonna hang on now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I guess we have to start all
No,
over.
no, you don't. No, I did not
kidding.
miss anything.
Okay. All right. So, did you have any comments that you want to add?
No, I was trying to comment, but obviously I couldn't. Let me scroll back down to my notes. I mean, again, this is a preliminary approval for the conditions noted, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I have no problem with anything y'all have already gone through. I was curious if this Wendy's is related to the Wendy's that we just approved for Ladies Island.
Yes, it is. Same operating group.
Good deal.
Is this replacing that Wendy's, the other Wendy's on Boundary?
No, we are planning to close that with that at some point. We'll open this one first, and we're going to see how the other one does.
I saw that there was some action on a deal to buy the land that the current Wendy's on Boundary Street is on.
Yeah.
Looking to close early next year.
I'm not aware of the exact dates, but my CFO is working through that.
Okay. Well, as to this Wendy's, I have a motion if you're ready, Benji.
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Approval, subject to the conditions noted by staff. And also, we would like to see color samples of pretty much all the colors we talked about, including the red, the bronze, the tan, preferably shown on a material that is going to be realistic once the paint is painted on it. You know, if metal is going to make it look brighter or not, I don't know.
It'll be the actual materials that we're going to use.
Okay.
Just samples of, yes.
All right, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome.
That's good. That's it.
Thank you all. Appreciate your time today.
All
Thank
right,
you, guys.
thanks. Thank
We'll
you.
see you next month.
Sure.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you.
Does anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded.
Ayed. All right, meeting adjourned.
Okay. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you all.
Thanks.